Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, September the 7th, 2022. Disclaimer, trading and investing of any kind carries risk. Everything discussed here is for entertainment purposes only and not to be taken as financial advice, because I do not give advice. That is not what I do. I just entertain. Are you not entertained? So, yesterday, the video that I put up, I kind of wanted to do a bit of a recap today because yesterday I mentioned kind of how I set up in pre-market and, kind of talking through divergence and all that fun stuff. And then, today we had a nice, easy day for trading. And when I say that, I mean market. So I trade the SPY typically. I trade some other tickers, but usually the SPY is what I focus on. And I focus on that because the SPY moves the market. So let's look at this. So today, let's draw our trend lines like we'd kind of gone through for our pre-market. All right, okay, big fun trend line. Big fun trend line. Big fun trend line. Right here, call it there. Okay, so, and we could put some trend lines below, but we're not going to do that for now because if we were to do it in pre-market, we'd want to kind of figure out, the here, and then maybe even something along the lines of here. Yeah, so there we go. And then also in pre-market, this is probably something I would have done. Also probably from up here. Okay. Just call that red. And let's zoom in a bit and kind of see what else we might have. So let's put a trend line here. Or not a trend line, I apologize. Put some Fibonacci here. And let's color that. Nope, that is not the right color. Let's color it blue, because that's fun. All right. So, yesterday, this video somewhere that'll pop up, we'd kind of discussed the idea of divergence. So, let's see here on divergence. So here we'd kind of talked about on the 1 hour, we still hadn't really seen that move up on the, just looking at the divergence here. So we started to kind of see that today, right? So yesterday we talked about the idea of something like this, right? Something like that. And that is kind of what we started to see today. So I am actually pretty excited about that. We'll see how it continues to go. So let's look at this. Yesterday we also talked about, popping through trend lines, how you need that volume pop through trend lines. So that also goes for VWAP, which is volume weighted average price. So we're going to draw a trend line here as well that we followed today. So this trend line, we never really broke below it. We did a little bit. We did here at first, but as it continued to move up, we could actually adjust this and even put it here if we wanted to. But, really, honestly, this trend just kind of ran up or moved up slowly at a beautiful pace all day long today. So after we get all this pre-market stuff set up, and you can see here why Fibonacci is so important, right? It respects these levels. It absolutely respects these levels in Fibonacci. And we're coming to a point here where we have a decent amount of resistance. So we're starting to see right up here, we have a handful of things resist. So we can look at other things as well where there is more resistance, but we're not going to talk about those. We're trying to do more basic things of looking at basic patterns, charts, trading what we see, as opposed to kind of over cluttering with, all 10 screens or 8 screens or 6 screens or whatever to try to figure out, what's going on here. So we'll just look at what we see here. So as the market opened, actually even in pre-market, we had this, we kind of had this trend line right here that kind of moved across. And if you notice, we kind of broke below it, tried to salvage it, tried to push above VWAP and didn't, and it kind of, pulled, maybe a couple of points, a point or two. So then, we hit this level around here of support, kind of moved, started to move back up toward VWAP, and as the market opened, we pushed, right? We got that volume that came in at the open, pushed, and then people took some profit, right? And we pulled back, pushed down below VWAP a bit, didn't make it very far, boom, and that created the next point in our trend line here. So we draw that out as the market starts to move this morning. So if we were to cover everything else up, we would draw that trend line there. And if we notice, we get this push through VWAP, we get this volume that came in, pushed us through, and this is a 5-minute chart. So get a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of build up here, and then we get this push up to this first trend line. And this first trend line is a fairly important trend line, at least for me it would be, because it's the first real place I would look to kind of enter a trade, because I'm a bit of an aggressive trader. So that's where the first real place I might is on this VWAP, this push through VWAP. We came back down, couldn't stay below VWAP, and we pushed back through. That might be where I would have entered first. And then if you notice, we never broke below this trend. So if you get in a trade here, you really have had no reason to get out of the trade, even right now. And even, you had this this smaller M pattern here that kind of built up. And as it went to retrace, it got some volume and poop, popped through that trend line there. All right, we finally got through it. We pushed above it. And so that, kind of continued most of the day. We had some volume come in again, push us all the way up here. And basically we had to get through this 23. We got through the 23. We had a healthy pullback, and we pushed back up to this trend line here. And as we did, that's where we sit. And so if you notice, we're coming to a head here. We're coming to a head right here. So this is our trend line from today. If we break that, if we kind of continue to move across, there's a chance we could start to pull back. We could come back down to this 23%. There's so many things that could occur, right? This is post-market. So we'd want to jump over to futures and kind of see what's happening there, which I'm not going to do. This is just a recap mostly from the day today. So there it stands. So it was overall a very steady day today. If you got in a trade anywhere down here, taking profits is absolutely something you should be doing along the way. No really, really good trader puts a bunch of shares into a trade and just rides it out. People just don't do that. So make sure you're taking profits along the way. Where would you take those profits? Fibonacci levels, there's a lot of places to take those. So, but the places to enter the trade for me would always be, and let's just say we're going to start to swing this as well. Not saying that that's what I'm going to do, but the first place to enter the trade could be this VWAP push, and that would be on a day trade, right? Because you get that push off of VWAP, you come up to this trend line here, maybe take some profits, and then kind of see what happens on the pullback, right? Do we break this trend or don't we? But you get this M, which is nice, and the M didn't break it, and then an M basically it kind of gives you, once it's finished making that, it'll tend to pull back or push back the other direction, right? So it'll tend to be a bit bullish temporarily. But we got enough volume to actually make it way more than temporarily. So we pushed through this trend line here. So pushing through this trend line here, that's, for me, that would absolutely, if this VWAP wouldn't have happened here, that would be definitely the first place I would have entered. Would have been right there. So when I saw that volume come in, boom, in the trade, right through that trend line. Then, we still kind of pay attention here. We see what happens with this. We still haven't come back to it, and we're finally starting to, but this place up here, this next trend line, I don't see this trend line as being overly important. So I'm kind of hoping that we continue through it, but we'll see how that goes. Nobody can predict the future. You just have to trade what you see. But I say that because it's not part of the bigger trend. It's just this little temporary trend line right here. And if I go look at other tools, I see other reasons that it's stopping there. It has not near as much to do with this trend line as it does with some other things that I see. So, and then the next place to enter the trade, especially for swinging it, would be somewhere along the lines of right here at this center point, right? So it would be in this area right here. And that's because, you know, that's kind of the centerpiece of this W we're trying to build here, this bigger W. Now we could start arguing, is that a crown pattern? Is it a W? So we could actually start arguing additional patterns here. But, you know, maybe we'll get further into that at some point. But at the end of the day, you know, this is just about prep and about recapping what we saw and, you know, kind of how I might have gone at it. So this is me. If it's not you, I understand. You know, I'm always curious to hear what people think. So I would definitely love likes and subscribes if you like it, if it's helpful, even just a little bit helpful. You know, send me comments, tell me what you want to see. You know, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely curious if this is helping anybody else. So yeah, let me know what you think. Outside of that, I appreciate it. And I look forward to the next video. Just a quick recap. And, you know, if I see something happening tomorrow, maybe I'll put another video together and push it out. Otherwise, you know, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.